Alright, let's just get this out there right away, because honestly, I'm still reeling from it, and I need to know if I'm the monster they're making me out to be. My stepchildren, 2 entitled teenagers, openly told me that my authority sleeps on the couch, referring to their father, my husband. They basically said I had no say in anything because I wasn't their real parent. So, I took them at their word. I dropped them off, not at their father's job as they expected, but at their mother's house, the one they constantly badmouthed and conveniently forgot existed when they wanted something. Was I wrong for doing that? Tell me, seriously, would you have done the same thing? Okay, so let's rewind a bit, because this isn't just some impulsive act. This is the culmination of years of disrespect and feeling like a glorified babysitter in my own home. My husband Mark and I have been married for 5 years now, but we've been together for nearly 8. When we first started dating, his kids, Liam and Chloe, were 10 and 12. They seemed like typical kids. A little shy, a little awkward, but generally polite. Their mother, Sarah, had moved out of state a couple of years before, and while she visited occasionally, Mark had primary custody. I really tried with them. I truly did. I cooked their favorite meals, helped with homework, attended their school events, and even spent countless hours trying to bond over their interests, even if it meant sitting through hours of mind-numbing video game streams or listening to pop music I couldn't stand. I saw myself as a bonus parent, someone who could add to their lives, not replace their mother. I genuinely loved Mark, and a huge part of being with him meant embracing his children. But somewhere along the line, something shifted. Or perhaps the polite facade they maintained for those first few years just crumbled away. As they hit their mid-teens, around 14 and 16, they transformed. It was like a switch flipped. Suddenly, I wasn't Emily anymore. I was Dad's wife, or even worse, just her. My suggestions were met with eye rolls. My requests were ignored. And any attempt to enforce house rules was met with the chorus of, "You're not our mum," or "We don't have to listen to you." Mark, bless his heart, tried to back me up, but his approach was often gentle persuasion rather than firm authority, which the kids quickly learned to exploit. He'd say things like, "Kids, listen to Emily, she's trying to help," which they'd interpret as an invitation to negotiate, or more often, ignore. I remember one specific incident where Chloe left a pile of dirty dishes in the sink for 3 days. I asked her calmly to wash them. She just stared at me blankly, then turned up the volume on her headphones. When I reiterated, she finally pulled them off and said, "Dad washes the dishes sometimes. I'll get to them." It wasn't about the dishes. It was about who had the right to tell her what to do. Liam was no better. He'd leave his clothes strewn across the living room, and when I asked him to pick them up, he'd grunt and say, "I'll do it later." Later often meant I'd end up doing it myself, just to maintain some semblance of order in my own home. My home, mind you, that I pay half the mortgage for, half the bills for, and put countless hours into maintaining. This wasn't just Mark's house. It was our house. The constant disrespect started to chip away at my patience, and more importantly, at my relationship with Mark. We'd have arguments, quiet ones after the kids were in bed, about their behavior. He'd get defensive, saying they were just teenagers, or that I needed to be more understanding. I understood a lot, but what I couldn't understand was why my feelings and my authority were constantly being undermined. I felt like an outsider, a guest who was expected to provide free labor and emotional support, but had no real standing. Things came to a head on a particularly stressful Saturday. Mark had to leave early for an emergency at work. He was going to be gone all day, possibly late into the evening. Before he left, he specifically asked me to make sure Liam finished his history project, which was due Monday and barely started. and that Chloe cleaned her room, which looked like a bomb had gone off in it. He said, "Emily, I'm counting on you. Make sure they actually do it." I agreed, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. Maybe this was my chance to show them I wasn't just a doormat. So, after breakfast, which I cooked, by the way, I approached Liam. "Hey bud, Dad asked me to remind you about that history project. Want to get a start on it now, so you don't have to stress tomorrow." He looked up from his phone, barely registering my presence. Yeah, I'll do it." Then he immediately went back to scrolling. An hour later, still scrolling. 2 hours later, still scrolling. Occasionally muttering to his friends through his headset. I tried again, a bit firmer this time. "Liam, seriously, you need to work on that project. It's due Monday." He finally looked at me, a smirk playing on his lips. "Chill, Emily, it's not your problem. Dad's not here, so you can't really tell me what to do, can you?" The audacity, the casual dismissal, it hit me hard. I tried to keep my voice even. "Your dad specifically asked me to make sure you got it done. And I live here too, so yes, I can tell you what to do." That's when Chloe walked into the living room, overhearing. She piped up, "Yeah, but your authority sleeps on the couch, Emily. When Dad's not home, you're just you." Liam snickered, nodding in agreement. "Exactly. You're not our parent." So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Here I was, standing in my own living room, being openly mocked and told I had no authority over children I had practically raised for years, simply because their biological father wasn't present. And the worst part, they truly believed it. They truly believed I was nothing more than a temporary stand-in, a convenient adult until their real parent came home. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have let it slide? Would you have called Mark in a rage? Or would you have found a way to make them understand, once and for all, that you are not to be disrespected in your own home? Seriously, I need to know your thoughts. I stood there for a moment, just staring at them. The words, "Your authority sleeps on the couch," echoing in my head. It was like a dam broke. All the years of trying, all the ignored requests, all the subtle digs, it all just boiled up. And then a thought, clear and cold, hit me. "You know what?" I said, my voice surprisingly calm, almost chillingly so. "You're absolutely right." They both looked a little taken aback, probably expecting me to argue, to get upset. "My authority does sleep on the couch when your father's here, and when he's not, apparently, I have no authority at all. So, if I have no authority, why am I even here trying to enforce rules? Trying to make sure you do your homework? Trying to keep this house in order?" They didn't have an answer. Liam just shrugged, a defiant look on his face. Chloe looked a little less confident, maybe sensing a shift in my demeanor. "Fine," I continued. "You don't want to listen to me because I'm not your real parent, because my authority isn't good enough for you. Then you don't need me to take care of you. You need your real parent." I walked straight to the kitchen, grabbed my car keys, and then went to the hallway closet for my purse. I could feel their eyes on me. "Get your bags," I said, not looking at them, my voice flat. "What?" Liam finally stammered, his bravado fading. "Your bags. Pack what you need for a few days. We're going for a drive." Chloe looked genuinely confused now. "Where are we going?" "Dad's at work." "Precisely," I said, turning to face them, a small tight smile on my lips. "Dad's at work, and since I have no authority, I can't be responsible for you. So, we're going to drop you off with someone who does have authority over you. Someone who is your real parent." A flicker of understanding, and then panic, crossed Chloe's face. "Mom?" she whispered. "Bingo," I replied. "Now move. I'm not going to tell you again." The scramble that followed was almost comical. They tried to argue, to protest, to say they didn't want to go to their moms. But Mom's house is like an hour away. And Dad said we're staying here this weekend, Liam whined. Funny, I said. Because you just told me what Dad said. Doesn't matter unless he's physically here. And since he's not, and since my authority means nothing, then what difference does it make where you spend your weekend? Your mother is your real parent. I'm sure she'd be thrilled to have you. They begrudgingly packed small backpacks. I didn't help. I just stood by the door, tapping my foot, watching them. The drive was silent, tense. I had Sarah's address from an old email. I didn't even bother calling her first. Part of me knew this was extreme, that Mark would probably be furious. But another part, the part that had been pushed to its absolute limit, just didn't care anymore. I needed them to understand the consequences of their words. We pulled up to Sarah's house. It was a modest place, a little run down compared to our home, but neat enough. All right, I said, pulling into the driveway. Out you go. They sat frozen. Emily, please, Chloe started, her voice finally losing its defiant edge. We didn't mean it. Oh, but you did, I countered. And you've been meaning it for years. Now this is what happens when you decide you don't need me. You don't get the benefits of having me around either. I got out of the car, went to the trunk, and pulled out their small bags. I walked to the front door, rang the doorbell, and waited. After a moment, Sarah opened the door, looking surprised. Emily, what are you? Before she could finish, I gestured to Liam and Chloe, who were slowly, reluctantly, getting out of my car. Hi, Sarah, I said, keeping my voice polite but firm. The kids here feel my authority is invalid, because I'm not their real parent, and their father isn't home. So, I figured, who better to be responsible for them than their actual mother? Sarah's jaw dropped. She looked from me to her sheepish-looking children, then back to me. What on earth are you talking about? I quickly explained, concisely, the authority sleeps on the couch comment. I didn't yell. I didn't get emotional. I just laid out the facts. So, since I can't enforce rules, and I can't be responsible for them in Mark's absence, I thought it best they be with someone who can. Here are their bags. I'll let Mark know where they are. I handed her the bags, got back in my car, and drove away, leaving a stunned Sarah on her porch with two equally stunned teenagers. The drive home was incredibly quiet, but for the first time in years, I felt a sense of peace. The storm, I knew, was coming, but for now I had made my stand. When Mark finally called, hours later, his voice was tight with anger. Emily, what the hell did you do? Sarah just called me, screaming. The kids are at her house. I calmly explained everything. Every ignored request. Every disrespectful comment, and especially the authority sleeps on the couch line. I told him how I felt, how his lack of firm intervention had emboldened them, and how I finally reached my breaking point. There was a long silence on his end. I could hear him breathing heavily. They really said that? He asked, his voice softer now. Yes, Mark, they really did, and if I have no authority, then I have no responsibility. It's that simple. If they don't want me as a parental figure, they don't get me as one. You can be the sole parent, and I'll just be your wife. We can draw up new boundaries, but I am done being disrespected in my own home by your children. It wasn't an ultimatum. It was a statement of fact, a declaration of my emotional limit. Mark came home later that night, exhausted and looking incredibly conflicted. We talked for hours. He was upset, yes, but he also admitted he had seen their behavior escalating and hadn't known how to curb it. He apologized for not backing me up more forcefully. He said he understood why I did what I did, even if he didn't agree with the method. The kids stayed at Sarah's for 2 days. Mark had a very serious, very long talk with them, individually and together. I don't know all the details, but when they came back, things were different. Not immediately perfect, but different. Liam apologized. A genuine, albeit awkward apology. Chloe was quieter, more subdued. but also apologized, acknowledging she had been out of line. It was clear that the sudden shift in their living situation had shaken them. They realized that their actions had real consequences, and that their bonus parent wasn't just some pushover. Mark also stepped up. He started enforcing rules with a newfound firmness, and any time they tried to pull the "you're not our mom" card, he shut it down immediately, reminding them that I was an adult in the house and deserved respect. It's still a work in progress, of course. Teenagers will be teenagers, but the blatant disrespect, the undermining of my authority, that has largely stopped. They now ask if they can do things, rather than just doing them, or ignoring me. They contribute more to household chores, without being asked multiple times, and occasionally I even catch them being genuinely polite. I think that moment, the drive to their mother's house, was a necessary shock to their system. It was harsh, yes, but it made them realize that I wasn't just a convenient fixture in their lives. I was an active participant, and my role came with both responsibilities and respect. It taught them that words have power, and disrespect can lead to uncomfortable, unexpected consequences. So that's the whole messy story. It was a drastic measure, born out of frustration, and years of feeling invisible in my own home. I still wonder if I overreacted, if there was a gentler way to make them understand. But then I remember the look on their faces, the dismissive tone in their voices, and I think, maybe, just maybe, it was exactly what they needed. It was certainly what I needed to reclaim my peace and my position in my own family. Like this video, if you were on my side, if you think I did what I had to do, subscribe for more stories like this, where people are pushed to their breaking point and have to make impossible decisions. And please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. Did I go too far, or was it justified? I'll see you all in the next story.